Video recorders and smartphones allow us to capture special moments in our lives that we can relive at any moment. However, some of the most interesting videos have captured strange or unexplained events that perplex people around the world. This also goes for surveillance footage, which should help us feel safe. Still, there are videos of mysterious events that provide more questions than answers. Hi, I'm Mr. Mysterious, and in this video, I'll tell you all about 5 mysteries caught on tape. I'll be talking about strange and still unsolved disappearances, a bizarre footage that shows that there are people with supernatural abilities, and about a broadcast signal intrusion that happened almost 30 years ago. All of the following stories are true mysteries that fail to provide any answers. Brian Schaffer. Brian was a second-year med student at The Ohio State University. He previously went to Ohio University for his undergraduate work, where he graduated with a degree in microbiology. He always had a very stable relationship with his parents and with his longtime girlfriend as well. His mother died of cancer a few months before Brian went missing, but his friends claimed that his mother's death didn't play a role in his disappearance. In addition, he was planning to propose to his girlfriend later that year, most likely on a trip to Miami the couple had planned for spring break. On March 31st, 2006, Brian met with his father to celebrate the upcoming spring break. Later, his father recalled that Brian looked exhausted from having pulled all-nighters earlier that week. Around 9 p.m. that same night, Brian met his friend William Florence at the Ugly Tuna Saloona, a seafood restaurant and bar in the South Campus Gateway complex. Brian and William went bar hopping that night, visiting several other drinking establishments. Around midnight, they met Meredith Reed, who was William's friend. She gave them a ride back to the Ugly Tuna Saloona, where they had started the night. While they were there, Brian separated from his friends. Meredith and William tried to find him by repeatedly calling him. Around 2 a.m., the two left the bar and waited outside for Brian. Since Brian wasn't among the departing crowd, they assumed he'd gone back to his apartment. However, he was never seen again. What's strange here is that the Ugly Tuna Saloona is a second-story bar with a surveillance camera facing the single entrance and exit. Police decided to investigate the footage and found a moment where the 3 friends entered the bar. Brian was also recorded saying goodbye to 2 women as they left the bar, and the footage also shows him returning to the bar just a few moments later. And that's it. Brian Schaffer is not seen or heard from again by anyone. It seems like he disappeared while he was in the bar, since there's no trace of him leaving. Investigators are still baffled by the fact that the camera that covers the only entrance and exit didn't record Brian leaving the bar. Christina Morris. On August 30th, 2014, Christina Morris visited an upscale mall in Plano, Texas. She met with her friends to celebrate the start of the Labor Day weekend. This is where she met a man named Enrique Arrochi. Even though both of them graduated from Allen High School, they didn't know each other well. They were introduced by a mutual friend. As this CCTV footage shows, Christina is walking with a man towards the mall's garage, where her car was parked. This man was Enrique. However, they weren't returning from the mall, but instead from an apartment where the group ended up that night. About 3:30 in the morning, Arrochi decided to leave the apartment, and Christina said she'd walk with him to their vehicles that were still parked in the mall's garage, a few blocks away. At 3:55 a.m., video surveillance shows Enrique and Christina walking side by side. The video gives no indication that anything is amiss. However, Arrochi's Camaro is seen leaving the garage 3 minutes later, while Christina was never seen again. Her Toyota Celica was found in the garage 3 days later when her father reported her missing. As it was soon discovered, Enrique was the last one who saw Christina alive. Plano police interviewed him several times. He claimed that he didn't know that Christina was missing, as well as that their cars weren't parked in the same garage. In addition, even though Enrique's car appeared clean when police examined it, forensics later found Christina's DNA on the opening of the car trunk and on a mat inside the trunk. It was also discovered that Enrique called Christina's boyfriend as he and Christina were heading into the parking garage. It was later discovered that Christina's boyfriend was actually a drug dealer who was recently sentenced to 33 months in federal prison for selling MDMA, also known as ecstasy or Molly, to undercover officers. On September 30th, 2016, Enrique Arrochi was sentenced to life in prison for the kidnapping of Christina Morris. Still, this mystery may never be solved since Christina's body has never been found. Enrique still claims he's innocent. Russian Flying Girl. This blurry video was taken by a man who took a video camera with him while walking his dog. This all happens in a forest, somewhere in Russia. Initially, the video is focused on the dog, but the camera soon turns to the right and captures a little girl's silhouette, hovering in the air in a horizontal position with a raised upper body. On the ground, as it seems, is the little girl's parent. Looking closely, you can even see the spooky child's chilling breath moving through the freezing air. At this point, the passerby is so horrified by the girl's behavior that he even appears to drop his phone, which causes the camera to shake. It takes a few moments for the camera to be stabilized again, which is when we see the flying girl being caught by her parent. Holding hands, the alarmed pair runs away. To make the story even stranger, the man who was walking his dog claimed that his dog proceeded to chase the pair, but the dog could not keep up with them. There is also a stabilized version of this footage, which is making skeptics rethink their opinions that this video is a hoax. Some of the earliest claims suggested that the girl was somehow hanging in the air. However, something like this could hardly happen since the girl couldn't have been hanging from a rope suspended above her without a crane present. It is also known that magicians use tricks with horizontal wires to appear like they're floating, but this doesn't seem to be the case here given the incredible amount of preparation that would be required. Even though this video is several years old, it is still a mystery what's behind it. While some believe that this is just an elaborate hoax, others believe that levitation can be achieved through meditation and religious practices. Lars Mittank. In July 2014, 28-year-old Lars Mittank, who was originally from Germany, had a holiday with a couple of friends in Bulgaria. He wanted to go out with his friends, so they decided to go to a bar shortly after their plane arrived. While partying, Lars started arguing with other tourists over football, as he was a big fan of Werder Bremen, and he encountered supporters of the rival Bayern Munich team. This conflict ended up in a fistfight, where Lars suffered an injury to his eardrum. At the end of his trip, a doctor advised him not to fly, so Lars decided to stay in Bulgaria for further treatment. He convinced his friends to leave without him. After saying goodbye to his friends, he went to his hotel and called his mother. He said the hotel seemed strange, as well as that he felt scared. A couple of hours later, Lars called his mother once again and said that he's in hiding now as 4 men were following him. After hanging up, he messaged her,
"What is cefuroxime 500?
which was the name of the antibiotics that were prescribed to him for his ruptured eardrum. 2 hours later, a cab drove him to the airport. There's footage from the airport's CCTV that shows Lars walking into the medical center at the airport with all of his luggage. Only a few minutes later, Lars was seen running out of the airport without any of his belongings. He ran straight out of the airport and climbed over a barbed wire fence and disappeared into a nearby forest. He was never seen or heard from again. Lars' family said he had no history of mental illness, as well as that his hysteric behavior could be caused by an undetected head injury from the bar fight. The doctor that treated him in Bulgaria also said that the prescribed antibiotics could cause side effects, like erratic behavior, if taken with alcohol. There is still no information about what happened to Lars. Max Headroom broadcast intrusion. Right up until 9:14 p.m. on November 22, 1987, what appeared on Chicago's television sets was somewhat normal: entertainment, news, and game shows. Those who tuned to Chicago's WGN around 9 p.m. wanted to watch the channel's primetime newscast. During the sports report, the screen suddenly went black for 15 seconds, then returned with a person wearing a Max Headroom mask and sunglasses. There was no audio other than a buzzing noise. This hijack was soon stopped after engineers at WGN switched the frequency of their studio link. Later that night, around 11:15 p.m., during a broadcast of a TV series on a channel, WTTW, the station's signal was hijacked by the same person who managed to hijack the signal of WGN earlier that night. Unlike the previous 30-second hijacking, this one had audio and lasted for 1 minute and 22 seconds.
"He's a friggin' nerd,"
Max says in a voice that sounds like a cartoon villain. The metal panel spinning hypnotically behind the man was a knockoff of Max Headroom's bitmapped background, who was a popular TV character at that time. The prankster also yells the new Coke slogan,
"Catch the wave,"
and hums the theme to the 1960s TV cartoon Clutch Cargo. At one point, the camera cuts to Max from a slightly new angle, who is facing off-screen. His mask dangles near the camera. His face is off-screen, and his buttocks are hanging out. On the right side of the screen, a woman spanks his ass with a fly swatter. Then, just as quickly as it arrived, the signal gets quiet. WTTW, which maintained its transmitter atop the Sears Tower, found that its engineers were unable to stop the signal. By the time the engineers began looking into what was going on, it was already over. At both WGN and WTTW, phones began ringing off the hook from confused viewers. It didn't take long until local newspapers and newscasts covered the incident. Officials from the FCC, the agency responsible for regulating America's airwaves, pledged to track down the prankster. However, even today, we still don't know who was behind this broadcast hijack. Feel free to add any kind of information that might help us get more clues about these strange events. If you find it mysterious, share and like this video. Also, be sure to subscribe because you don't want to miss what's coming next. As always, thank you for watching.